Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the JustAskChar Advice Channel. It's a TGIF affair around here, so stick and stay. Don't you dare go away. The show will start momentarily. Before the show begins, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about the happenings going on with the Gray Regime family. Starting on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, it is the Commander, Cerulean Gray, with correction and instruction. All your social, economic, and political ideologies you can find right here with the Commander of the Gray Regime, Cerulean Gray, Mondays on the Gray Regime YouTube channel. And moving on to Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, you can check out The Warrior, and I'm talking about Just DeAndre, each and every Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, right here on the Just DeAndre channel. It is called The 1/3 Show. My man brings you an eclectic blend of news and articles from around the world and back again, folks, right here on this same YouTube channel, each and every Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Just DeAndre, another one of those great warriors from the Gray Regime. Moving on to Wednesday, we got to leave the YouTube streets on Wednesday and head on over to Classic R&B Jams Radio. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can check out On the Beat and Keep the Beat. At 8 p.m., it is DJ Music and Char Willie with On the Beat, hitting you with some news and hot topics from around the world. Starting at 9:30, Char Willie takes off her talk show hat and slides into the DJ booth with Classic Ruby, where they play a blend of great music from the decades and have some great conversation about each and every song. And don't forget, folks, it's an interactive chat room down over there at Classic R&B Jams as well. So you can come twerk in the chat room, post a few gifs or a few memes, whatever you like doing. Just make sure you check it out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over there on Classic R&B Jams Radio, On the Beat and Keep the Beat. Soulful sounds all around town, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you're inclined to, please feel free to leave your financial contributions as well. And for those of you who would like your letter read on the JustAskChar channel, please send all your emails to justaskchar@gmail.com. That's justaskchar@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is the star of the show, Char Willie.
Greetings, TGIF, good people. What is going on? Happy Friday to you. Hope everyone is doing well. Had a great week. It has been sort of interesting for me. Seems like it's been a long one. Chicago weather has been pretty good, except for, I woke up this morning like, whoa, who turned the heat off? Roo, because it was cold. So that wind chill dropped. We've been so used to that 30 degrees all, December and most of January. And like, wait a minute, hold up. Who took the heat? I don't appreciate it. But hey, it is winter. We just been spoiled. But other than that, let's see what else is going on. I had a couple of people I know had tested positive for COVID, and only one of them got tested because they wasn't feeling well. The other one was pretty good. So, but both ladies are doing well. They're recovering well, and they'll be back to work in a week because you have to quarantine for a good 14 days or so. So I am glad to hear that good news. Um, and something else is going on when it comes down to um, carjackings in Chicago. I don't know what's been going on, but they have been increasing. And I remember mentioning it to you guys maybe a month ago, but it's gotten worse. It has truly gotten worse. We got about, they're saying now it's about 7 a day. That is quite a bit. So they had to create a task force just for that, simply because of that. I'm like, wow. So it's getting wild out here. But I think it's because it hasn't been cold enough, just a little snow, no ice. So folks are out and they're doing all kind of little things. So that's unfortunate. And they're saying that the folks are as young as 12 years old and they're in groups and they're out there and they're even downtown Chicago because the city is fairly quiet now. Now because of COVID, a lot of people are just not out. They're just not. But that's what's happening. Let's see what else I want to tell you guys. Oh, CVS, which is I'm trying to think what is the name of that store in the South? Ah, it's a different name in Texas and California. I'm trying to think when I went there. It's the same as CVS, but it's another name. I can't think of the name of it right now. But they're offering free COVID testing. So that's pretty good. So at least you can go and get that done. So if you know of anyone, healthcare, not the best. And I know a lot of places are offering them, the free testing, but that's just an additional place that you can go. So I said, hey, take advantage of it. No, it isn't Walgreens. It's another name. Right, RITE, something right. I can't think of something right, whatever it is. I remember that. I remember it now, rather. So, if you need to do that, go do that, please. And let's see. And what's going on with these stores? Yes, thank you. Rite Aid. I knew it was 2 words and right was in there. RITE. I remember that. I don't know. I signed up for the card knowing that I'm only going to travel at the time once or twice a year, but I signed up because hey, I'm a sucker when it comes down to a discount. That's what I do. I love them discounts. Can't pay no full price. Talking about some one for 79 cents. No, let me get 2 of those for $1. So we're gonna cut that in half, 50 cents each. That's what we're gonna do. And I am going to toss this smoke detector / carbon monoxide out of the window in approximately 30 seconds because it is working my nerves. It was supposed to have been replaced. I was waiting for my the building engineer. He was supposed to come by. I guess he forgot about me and replace it because this something's wrong with it. But anyway, um, I'll try to ignore it as much as I can so I won't scream because I will. I can't do like my man Chaos. I don't know how he survived with that thing chirping for 6 months. I just don't get it. I just don't. I'm sorry. Plus, I love life, so hey, I would have to work on it. So, anyway, let me move on. What's going on with these stores trying to make you spend money? I open up my email. They're talking about some, hey, we miss you. Char, we miss you. I'm like, who this? Talking about they miss me. Here's a coupon. Here's 20% off. Here, you got a couple weeks to use it. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And the store just happens to be where I get my fragrances from Sephora. And I just laugh when I saw the email talking about they miss me. I'm like, yeah, you just want me to spend some money because you know I'm a sucker when it comes down to fragrances. I don't play. But hey, I have enough to last me, so I'm not buying nothing new. And that's that. Thank you for the 20% off. And they'll probably start texting me because it started off in an email. And trust me, those bad fellers are now giving out texts. I'm like, what's with the text messages? That's only to tell me if I have a package or something like that, or maybe a discount code. No, they don't do that. Well, they are now. I'm like, Lord, what is going on? You're right, Vonda. That's what it is. They missed the money. Hey, must be the money. And that's what it is. All right, guys. I have rambled enough. I'll give you a little ramble tomorrow when we do the article reaction. What? Article reaction? What? You gonna act like you don't know what I'm talking about? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Don't you? No? Okay. Give me 1 second. Act like you don't know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. We're about to show you what I'm talking about. As soon as I can. Here we go.
Hey, folks, it's your nighttime, it's your right time DJ Music. Make sure you join Char Willie each and every Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, for Article Reaction, right here on your local YouTube channel. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe to Article Reaction.
Act like you don't know. And I'd like everyone to, give a round of applause. You can stand up if you like to the wonderful, the lovely Classic Ruby, everyone.
Oh, I'm blushing, y'all. I'm blushing. Please, please, no more photos. Well, at least use the flash photography. It makes me look better and get my right side. Thanks. Okay. Hey, Sean.
Hello there. How are you?
Oh, not too shabby. This TGIF. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Pretty well.
hmm I wanted to say about your ramble. It's one of those things that they noticed about humanity, and that's why they made sure we had, organized school from the time we were 5 until the time we were like 18, forced on us, and then, employment, even if it's very menial, because when people have nothing to do, like nothing to do, they
hmm
find something to do, especially young people. They got too much energy and hormones and whatever coursing through their veins. So,
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't give them something positive and structured to do, they're going to find something to do. And you might not like it. So, especially if they're poor, especially if they're poorer, because now they're not allowed to work and craziness like that. Like, we got to get on some type of hobby plan or something, that works and fulfills people. So, not like, I bet you can't steal a car. Bet I
Yeah.
can, right? I mean, like, gotta do
Shoot,
something.
they got teams. I know they're working in twos at least, but they're saying as small as 2 up to 4 people. I don't know what the 4 is about. Maybe they have to get a ride there or something. I don't know, but it has really increased. And I even mentioned a month ago or so that I had witnessed the possibility of what would have happened. So it's going on. And when they had mentioned it was near my area, that's when the alarm bells had went off. They're like, no, we don't have that kind of stuff over here. So it
Right.
has really been something. But
hmm
I just say people, hey, be careful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I will say that I'm very lucky in the fact that, and I've noticed this kind of connection. So for people who, oh, fine, you're kind of forced into this COVID thing and can't work and whatever, but it's not impacting you and your family negatively. Like, you're not forcing, evictions and can't feed your kids and whatever because the government's supporting the people. We haven't really seen a dramatic increase in crime. like let's say over here. Whereas in, the harder it is, the just in general, not just the car thefts, but in general, you're seeing the increase in crime, whether it's, violent attacks and stuff like that, domestic disputes and whatever, because people are under a lot of stress and pressure with
Yeah.
the pandemic and the lockdowns and whatnot, and being out of work and feeling kind of powerless, right? So
Yeah.
we got to get we got to get this under control, y'all. It's been a year now. We can't figure it out. Like it's been a
I,
year.
I
Ugh,
don't think so. It doesn't look
ugh,
like it. But yeah.
right?
Okay. Well, good people. Tonight's show, I have a letter here from a young man, and I'll go ahead and share the video, and we can go ahead and get started.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, stretching right now. All right, let's go.
Today I have a letter from a young man, and he writes, Dear Shar, I am a grown man at 30 years old, and I'm a bit stubborn when it comes to my principles in relationships. I believe that relationships should not be two people who need each other to survive, but instead want to share their lives together that they've built with each other. And that said, I don't come into a relationship vulnerable, needing someone from my partner. I can feed myself, stay ahead of my bills, and pride myself in fixing my own problems. If I make a mess, I want to be the one who cleans it up. Isn't that what responsible adults do? Which leads me to the issue I have in relationships. Most of the partners I've had first respect my self sufficiency, then grow to resent it. They tell me that it feels like I don't need them, that I'll do just fine without them, which is the case, even on an emotional level. I'm even keeled and I don't need much emotional support. I'm happy sitting alone in the dark or reading a book without the need of any external validation or support. And while I'm there for my partner emotionally and am often a giver, they feel that they cannot reciprocate because I've already processed my own emotional baggage. In short, I feel like a pillar that by being so strong at standing alone, anyone who stands by my side has issues feeling necessary and almost seeks the validation that I'll crumble without them. So they feel I need them, which I don't, but I do want them around. Thank you so much for your letter.
Girl, I got so much to say about this one. So much. So much. Oh my God. No, I do. Like I have so much. I have this one figured out, right? Figured out. Now, of course, we all know certain people, hey girl, hey in the chat, I know you're listening, are probably gonna disagree with some stuff I gotta say, but I know I have this one figured out in the bag. Uh,
Okay. All righty then.
I know, right? But I want to clarify though. So this is a 30-year-old man, right?
That
He's
is
not woman.
correct.
Okay. The first thing I'm gonna say, and I know everything else throughout the night might almost sound like I'm disagreeing with this, but I'm not. But I actually 1,000% agree. And I have to say hallelujah to someone finally saying you shouldn't need someone, right? Like, I don't care if it's a woman or a man. I don't know why people are complaining. Women are saying they don't need us. You want a woman to be with you because she needs to be with you, not because she wants to be, not because she genuinely enjoys and appreciates, respects, loves, whatever you, but because she needs you. Like, to me, that's a very dysfunctional way of thinking about relationships. And so I'm actually 100% in support with the very first thing he said. So I was like, what could your problem be? Um, because I think that's a healthy way to think of things. People shouldn't be together because they need the other person. You should kind of, if you're a broken person, a dysfunctional person, you don't have it all together, you should take that time to work on yourself so that way you are self sufficient and you can take care of yourself and emotionally, mentally, you can work through your own stuff and you've got a handle on you because someone else can't complete you or fill your holes. You've got to do that on your own. So I agree with that part. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I got to say that. But I think that the problem is, and I don't think he sees it, is that there's a difference between not needing someone and literally putting 1,000 feet of concrete between you and anybody else. So that way they are never let into even who you are or into your life in any meaningful or significant way. Like you've been dating them for 5 years and they're just as relevant to your life as like that random coworker you barely know the name of, right? Because you don't let them in at all and you're not choosing to share your life with them. And so in a nutshell, right, that's what I
Okay.
see the problem as being.
Okay. And when we use the word need, there's so many different ways you can go when it comes
Mhm.
down to need. And as far as a broken person, I agree. You shouldn't have someone um, needing to fix you per
Mhm.
se. So I agree with that. Now, in the letter, what I'm hearing is this person is so, I guess, independent. I really didn't want to use that word, but hey, it
I
is what
know.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certain words around YouTube, I just cannot stand them. Ugh, just
Mhm.
because the way they're used.
Yeah.
But I understand the man he's very independent, and I get that when he says he doesn't need. Okay, that's fine. But what you have to point out, y- you want that other person,
Right.
and you're gonna have to give them something
Mhm.
because they're not gonna stick around. And then
Right.
we'll, dive into that a little bit. We
Mhm.
have a gentleman and a young lady on the panel. What is?
Hey. Okay. First, I
Greetings.
gotta say, oh my God, Sir Petty is here. Hey, it's been weeks. Hello, Sir Petty. Hello.
Oh, I've been in the clouds.
Hi.
Hey, girl.
Greetings, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime, anytime.
Hey, Dre.
Hey, Vonda. Hey, Shar Ruby. You know,
Hey.
when the guys start sending in letters and start asking questions, I like it just to come up here. Just
Mhm.
what I'm saying, because my thing is this: when I was listening to the letter, I wasn't hearing him ask for any advice.
Mhm.
I'm like, if you got to figure it out, why ask Shar?
Mm, well, he's asking. You have to read between the lines, but the gentleman
Right.
is asking because he wants the woman, and they're not feeling him. They're not want to stick around if they don't feel needed. So he's asking.
Well,
It's there.
see,
What's the
well,
problem?
well, that's the problem, right? Like, okay, you coming over the house? Hey, baby, come over the house. Okay, you got your stuff together. You know what I'm saying? Let me spicing the place up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have. Oh, you have pictures on your walls. You have a fun sway thing going here. Um, wow, you're not living like a dude. It feels like there's a female living here, but there's no female. Are
Mm.
you straight? Like, I'm like, this is, I'm like, because it's like, I'm like, you got mansion handbags with Chelsea boots? Oh my God, what is this? Like, what is going
Okay.
on? You're telling me what I need to wear and coordinate? You don't need a woman. You are one. Ha ha! Like no, but I'm just saying, Sean, like when the relationship goes down, people have this younger generation or these because he's 30 years old, right? So I'll be 40 this year. So these 90s babies, you know what I'm saying? They're in this mental thing where um both of them have this 50-50 mentality, or this I can do it, I'm independent, but I don't want to be by myself. And they don't understand that there's no point in a relationship where it's 50-50. If you're doing 50 and they're doing 50, it's still going to equal to 50. Like, the way a relationship works is everybody gives the best that they can at 100% if they can muster it up. And other than the basics, a man's job is to provide and protect. That's his job. That's the basics. You don't get a hand clap for doing the basic function of what a man is supposed to do. That's your job, right? That's what your man's supposed to do, right? At the very basis, you're supposed to take care of yourself. When you're with a woman, or you're with a woman and you're trying to be in a long-term relationship, you talk about marriage, she is there to not just assist you, but enhance that potential or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you need that to motivate. And we know, just listening to these streets, that females through history have motivated men to do great and stupid things. Right.
Mhm.
So the problem is that he thinks he's got everything together, but he has nothing together. And because the bar is so low, because just being able to take care of yourself and doing the bare basics, he think he's winning, and he's not. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do, and he's been put in his head, his little bit of success or his materialism is enough, because he is emotionally in debt. Like he like in a woman can feel that, right? And she's not going to put herself in a position where she's emotionally in debt, like to you, like what I mean. That's draining. Like that's draining. And if she's got, and men, it's hard enough for us to share our feelings. It's hard enough, and usually when we get with a woman, we usually share less and less of our feelings because we feel like we're vulnerable enough. Like, you hear, ain't you? Like, as men, that's how we feel. You hear, so I'm gonna tell. Like, a woman thinks that when she gets with a man, he's going to share more. He's actually going to share less, because I don't want you seeing me crawled up in the fetal position, sucking my thumb. Like, where you know what I mean? Like, and his
Yeah.
thing is, he gives off this wall of, I got everything together. I'm this, I'm that, I'm yada yada yada. So what do you bring to the table?
So,
And yeah.
no, I agree with you, Dre. So that just tells me, with this young man, he's 30 years old, and he has, made this exclamation that, hey, I am a man and I can handle my own basic needs. You know what? Clap, clap. Wonderful. You're doing exactly what the hell you're supposed to be doing. Women don't get a pat on the back because she has her own car, she has her own place, she has a job, and she takes care of herself. Nobody gets a pat on the back for that, because that's what you're supposed to do. So at the age that he is, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, which tells me that he still has some maturing to do, because he hasn't figured out that it's not 50-50. So I agree with that too, Dre. You give 50, she gives 50, you still don't go anywhere. You give the best that you can give in that relationship. He hasn't learned that when you get with another person, although you may not depend on her for your basic needs, that's not what she's there for, and you're not there for her basic needs. You guys come together when you have that already in place. Now there comes the point of sharing. Now, depending on how deep the relationship is with women, I don't know what that is, but if you're looking on spending your life with this woman, you have to share things with each other. And then there comes a point where, you know what? You do need her and she needs you. Now, it doesn't mean that, if she walked away, if you walked away, you guys would never be the same again. You'll be fine because you can handle your basic needs. But when you start depending on the emotion and the support from that other person, that's a whole different level of maturity that apparently at the age of 30, he has not tapped into yet.
See now, and I agree with y'all. I hear y'all, but I want to add in another layer because see, he did say like he understands his role as an emotional support and provider for her. So in essence, what he's seeing a relationship as being, which he's not understanding why this is flawed, is that, so he protects, he provides, he cares for her, he listens, he's compassionate, he's understanding, he helps her solve problems, he's a great support to her. He is literally everything, and therefore she is nothing. But he doesn't see it that way. Like he just sees it as though, well, I fulfill everything that I need. And likewise, what he's not seeing in that is that he's not allowing himself to be emotionally vulnerable to any woman he's with. So he's not allowing himself to actually fall in love with these women. He's not allowing himself to actually bond with these women or connect with these women. So I think when we're talking about how these women don't feel needed, and needing the validation and whatnot from him, it's not so much on a financial level. It's like he just goes and he's a pillar by himself. He's going to take care of his own problems and solve his own emotions. And by the time he lets her know that there's a problem, he's already solved it. He doesn't really need her for that. But thanks, babe, for caring, right? So he thinks that is his job. Like it's normal and natural and healthy and the epitome of manhood for him to take care of everything for him and for her and to not allow her in. And I think that that's what keeps failing in his relationships and why women will walk away from an otherwise great catch, because basically you're with a relative stranger and it kind of almost feels violating when relationships are that one-sided emotionally, right? Because you're giving and giving and giving emotionally. You're opening yourself up. You're laying yourself out there, vulnerable and letting them basically have weapons to hurt you in a way. And they're giving you nothing back, like you're just a casual stranger. And so that can feel like a violation. It can feel like a slap in the face. And I think that he doesn't understand or see that. And that's why I said like the 50 feet of concrete around him, because in essence, this probably comes from some type of younger trauma or hurt, but he's not willing to let himself be open.
You know what? I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring this up, right? I'm going to bring this up. What about them black parents? The old parents, right? Because and I'm not saying like the mama and something. I'm just saying the parents, right? Because you, as a man, right, from a man's perspective, you learn how to initiate yourself and to deal with the opposite sex through your parents, right? And if your parent is there, you are taught a certain way. So if he is taught a man's supposed to do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, that's what he's taught, right? Men are very logical, but we are very observant because we have to be. Like, we're not so much emotional, so we don't have that internal instinct that women go on, right? A woman they have that internal instinct because of their nature. They're more inclined to that. They can see some stuff. I done seen women catch they dude in the act and they still be like, no, I'm gonna forgive him. No. This is grounds on dismissal, but they work through it. Or she could just say, you know what, my gut's telling me nah, and she's right. You know what I'm saying? But men, we have to look at the environment. We have to process information, and this is how we learn. Also, we learn by what you tell us. We use that. We apply that, and then we get to a certain point. The problem is with him, with his current dynamic, he never probably saw in that male female dynamic, he never saw what the needs of the male was. It wasn't looked down upon the male actually saying, "What about my happiness? What about my needs?" Like you know what I'm saying? In a positive, constructive way, not a whiny go jump off a bridge way, right? But in a constructive way, and or he never seen that backed up by saying, the male saying to his wife, "Thank you, because this is what this woman does for me. Y'all may not know this, but man, I wouldn't be nowhere without her," or just even watching that dynamic, he never saw that. He doesn't understand what that is. And if he's only seeing it one way, that means that comes from a product of his environment where he's only taught to give, give, give. Now, on a female perspective like that's intriguing, right? Like, like Vonda has the six, she got the six like month rule in figurative speaking, right? When it comes to physical, in that physical sense. But men, but on a male perspective, we have that also, but on an emotional sense, right? If and a woman thinks that, okay, well, I can wait that long to pull that out of them. I can wait some time to get that emotional response. But if she's not getting something, that intuition's going to, why he hiding shit? I can't get in there. Like, what I'm saying? You can't blow it open with dynamite. He ain't opening up to me nothing. And like you said, Ruby, is whenever I dealt with a woman, if she gives me something, then when a woman says, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I got to tell you something about myself." And when she says, "Don't tell nobody else," you have two options as a man. Are you sure you want to tell me this? You got to always say that. You always got to say that. Are you sure? No, I think it's time. We've came far enough that I want to tell you this. And then when she tell you that, you as a man are obligated right then and there. Once you get that, you got to give her something. You better give her something. If you don't give her something, oh God, she gonna be looking at you with the side and stink eye. She gonna be looking at you crazy. Why didn't you give me something? I'm over here opening my soul. Here, one of them skeletons that's coming out of the closet. I'm putting it right here because I trust you, and you ain't bringing out your skeletons. Because you know what's gonna happen? She's gonna start cross-examining you now. You're gonna be on the witness stand every time y'all have a private session together, and the more you don't give her them answers, the more she gonna be looking at you side eye. And the dude is gonna give her the answers and be on some conscious mind shit. He gonna be walking off with your woman, and you'll be sitting there alone in the dark and say, "Well, I'll provide, and I'm six figures," and they just choose wrong. They just choose wrong because you put up that wall, and you have to be vulnerable. If she's gonna tell you something, you got to tell her something. There's got to be an exchange. That's how it works. That's how it always works.
Let me say this. Let me mention this. For a woman, we're emotional creatures. And if I'm going to be intimate with you and I don't get nothing, I don't seem wanted except for when you have an erection, it's going to be a problem. It just is. I mean, how are we communicating? How was your day? Fine. You want to go somewhere? Not really. Oh, okay. What? You want to go someplace? Well, if you want to. Well, I'll go if you want to. It's only so much of that I'm going to, want to be able to take, because I'm wondering, like, okay, I'm cool at home sometimes, but every time it's like he doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to communicate until he has an erection. Well,
Yes.
it's only so long a person going to be able to accept that, a woman, what I'm talking about. So you have to give something. You just there's have to be some type of emotion. And I told a young man, I said, a woman, she needs to feel needed for something. I said, because I don't know all the details. I said, if she spend the night, give her something to do. Have her to iron your shirt while you're in the tub or the shower, just something. She got to feel needed to do something. She got to feel wanted to do something. So I just want to throw that in there. You
And
can continue.
I agree with that, Shar. I so agree with that, because that's where there is no depth to him. And I'm going to say maturity. Maybe he hasn't fallen in love, with the girls or the women that he's dealing with. At some point, he's not a Neanderthal. It's not like, okay, I work, I eat, I have sex, and I sleep. Dude, it's way more than that. There's depth to your life. And obviously he hasn't figured that out, because when you're with this woman that you're dealing with, how does she make you feel? And not just when you need your penis to have some attention to it, because no one wants to feel like that's all their worth is to you. You don't need nothing else from her but, some sex. She needs to know that she's more than that. So outside of the sex and you providing, for the household, when she is around and when she's there, how does she make you feel? He hasn't mentioned that. So if she does not feel like, she's doing it for you, she's not going to feel wanted. She's not going to feel needed. Just because you will have sex with her does not make her feel grateful that, oh, he paid me some attention. You're absolutely correct. So to me, it just sounds like with this dude, he's on the first level with adult maturity. And he has to, either fall in love or spend an extended amount of time with a woman to understand what it is that I'm saying. How does she make you feel? And what would you do to keep that feeling around you? Now, granted, you don't need her to pay your bills. You don't need her to hold you up. But when she's there and you say something to her and the answer that she gives you, how does that make you feel? You want to have her around for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, he told us when he said, I don't need her for nothing, not even emotionally, right? I mean, he's telling us basically, in essence, not that strongly. She's not, and the reason why he doesn't feel that strongly, though, is because he refuses to let her in and let any woman, it doesn't matter who it is, he refuses to let her really see him, to really share and connect in a deep and meaningful and significant way. And when you're not allowing people to see you that way, there's only so deeply you can feel about someone, right? I mean, maybe you can feel some lust at best, but aside from lust, what can you really feel about another human being that you know nothing about, or that you know everything about, but they for sure know nothing about you? You never had to drop even half of a guard to let them know something about you that might be able to potentially hurt you, or to establish a connection with them in a way that if they left, it would devastate you. And I think that he's going really very far out of his way, maybe not realizing it, but I think he's actually intentionally going out of his way to make sure that he can never be that vulnerable to anybody on the planet, not understanding that if you're really looking for, like, say, a spouse, then, and especially if you're the kind of guy who, you want to be the head of your household, you want to be a leader, you would like your woman to submit to you. By definition, submission, a woman submitting to you, is an epic, massive amount of trust and belief in your partner. How do you trust and believe in someone you don't really know, right? Like, I know surface things about you, but again, I don't know you more than some random coworker of yours, really. But I'm supposed to put my life, my future, the future of my children in your hands and say, yes, I do think that you are fully capable, and that we're going to be able to go down this road together in a great way. Like, how does someone judge that if you're not bonded and connected to each other? So I think that, and unfortunately, because there's so much focus on women are emotional and men are logical, like, that discussion happens to the point where they say women are emotional and they lack logic. So therefore, men are logical. And what does that imply? Well, then therefore, they basically lack emotions. And if they don't, well, then they're women. Okay. So then you're like fighting your whole entire life to be stoic to the point of having zero emotion at all. And he's saying, well, but women like that at the beginning. Yeah, we like a man who is confident in himself, who is stoic, who's not out there crying at puppies in the street and stuff like that, right? Like no woman's really looking for an emotional basket case or an emotional mess, right? And so
Mhm.
yes, we're good with that. As a general demeanor, we are good with that. But it's not about you being an emotional basket case or being lost without her. Like there's no way you could cook your own meal yourself. There's no way you could work out your own problems. It's about you being willing to put her in a different category than the rest of the planet and saying, I am going to trust you. I'm going to trust you with my thoughts. I'm going to trust you with my feelings. I'm going to trust you with my problems. I'm going to trust you with my insecurity. I'm going to trust you with things that maybe could hurt me socially, or trust you with things that I wouldn't necessarily want the world to know. But I trust you because I'm telling you that you are trustworthy to me because you are valuable to me. And I think to an extent, I don't even know if he knows that if any of the women he's ever been with are valuable in his eyes, because I don't think he's connecting to them emotionally on the other side. Like he's letting them tell him stuff, right? Here's all my problems. Here are my
Mhm.
skeletons. Here's all of that. But is he emotionally connecting to it? Is he using all of the information, all of the little things they do, all of the big things that they do to really truly evaluate these women and say, wow, she's a great person. Wow, she's got a great heart. Wow, she'd be a great mother. Like, is he really connecting to that? Or is he just, like it's like he signs in and now he's a counselor for her. And then, okay, now he's the financial provider. And okay, now he's the this and now he's the that. And it's just like a list of tasks and not like, human
You know,
relationship.
you know what? I'm gonna say something.
Okay.
He, I think what he is he has. I think this has happened to him a lot, right? What I think what has happened is he um, was always that rock guy, the guy that was easy to talk to. He's the potential to be the a boyfriend, and he's 30, right? So we got to move the goalposts back because of what went down with the 90s generation, right? Because no child left behind. So everybody gets a participation trophy, everybody gets a ribbon. Um,
Mhm.
and what happens is that usually around 25 to about 27, men they get that, you know what? I got it. You know what I mean? Let me get my shit together because I can't keep going out here living in my mama's basement, and I got to get it. Because I gotta show that I can provide for myself, so I can get a woman, and then we can go and I can move, and then you stop worrying about your body count, and you start worrying about the quality of women that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
At 30 years of age, he's getting this, but the problem is it's not that he's getting it by choice, he's getting it by force, right? So that means is that he suffers, basically he's a simp living literally with the auspices of knowing that he can never like get out of being one. And what I mean is like this, right? Is he was always in that best friend or that brother mode or the cousin or he's just a friend, and he was good enough and he's probably he probably looks good enough for a woman to feel comfortable with having sex with him because he's like an emotional toilet, right? She can dump everything on him, right? And he knows that's the only way because he can't really share his thoughts because he's thinking in his head if he really be selfish. He doesn't know how to be selfish, right? So he provides financially, he does all of this. And when a woman wants to take it a step further, he doesn't know how to get past that point to actually be a boyfriend or to be in a long-term relationship with a woman because it goes give and go. And this is because he got his heart broken, probably really bad, and he's just stuck in that dark place. Like that dark. Every man goes through this. right?
Mhm.
You cannot be a man. Like, well, I would say, I can't say every man. I can say, let's just say, if we throw percentages out there, let's just say 90, 95% of men go through this, right? The dudes that hit the gene lottery and don't got to worry about this, they're good, right? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But I'm talking about the 95% of men go through this, where they get in love with a woman and she reaches into his heart cavity and punts his heart across the street, and a trailer, like a tractor trailer, just runs over, right? And and you go into a dark place, right? And then you try to navigate, do I trust another woman again, right? Or do I make the same mistake? And you get into that point where you try to figure it out. Okay, what do women really want? Like, why am I like this? Like, why did I get played like that? You start, what I mean, but you still get into relationships with women. So you try to do it with the body count. The body count ain't working, right? Because there's nothing there. Then you try to be extra successful, right?
Mm.
I mean, you try to go for the materialism thing, but that's a fallacy because that's not there, right? Then you go to the next thing, right? And then you try to put up this wall, but then you can go one or two ways, right? You can go raging. Women ain't this, that, and the other, or you can become one of those super conscious mind, what I mean, I'm here for women, placating the women type of dudes. What I mean,
Mm.
aka Derek Jackson on crack type of dudes, right? You're beautiful, you sending text messages in the morning, you're doing this, you're hitting everything like this, but she's not getting anything from you, right? You're just doing the things that make her happy, but really, in reality, you're not happy as a dude because you're scared to even open up to her, right? So he's
Mm.
in the stage of his life where he can afford to be with a woman. He does the basic necessities. He's got to do everything himself because he doesn't want to get his heart broken, or he doesn't want to trust a woman enough to get that close because he's still recovering from the open heart surgery that was done to him years ago from some
Or let
chick.
me or let me ask you this too. Would it also be that maybe he wants to just be cautious or extra cautious and look for signs of what could have taken place for that
But
open heart surgery you just mentioned?
well, the problem is that when okay, like it's like this, like how we got this thing, like you don't blame the victim, right? Like don't blame the victim, and that is true. But you have to have some self accountability as a guy, right? As a person, right? If something happens to you once, that's not your fault. If it continuously happens to you, you got to find what's in you, and you have to internalize where are my faults and how do I fix myself first. And the problem is he doesn't have confidence in himself that you're going to take chances in life and you're going to get hurt. Yes, you can mitigate all of those, but you're still going to run into some stuff. And the thing is you have to toughen your heart up. You can put your shield up, but you got to toughen your heart up. What I mean? It's like, you wear a helmet when you ride a bike. You know what I mean? The helmet,
Most
yeah,
definitely. It's not
but
like you ride a bike and you fall off of it and you're like, oh, F that. I'm never getting on a bike again.
yeah, but
Mm.
the helmet is just there as protective equipment, but you don't stop riding a bike like Vonda says. And the thing is with him is it's like he's on the bike, he's got the training wheels on,
He on
but
the sidewalk. Yeah,
he, he's walking the bike down the street. He's not even riding. He's walking it.
there
He's
you
walking
go.
the bike down the street. He
And
ain't even riding. He got the training wheels on. He got a whole, them suits that the women wear where they fighting the dude. They trying to learn how to do self defense. He's all padded up. He's walking and he ain't even riding the bike. And that's his problem. And what you're looking at, we're used to seeing it one way. Women ain't this, women ain't that. It's all about the girls all day, right? Like the women, the women, the women, the women. But we're looking at a different part of that where the man is still engaging with women. He loves women, but he disengages emotionally. Like he's in a dark place. Like Ruby, we talked about Vampire Diaries. It's like when they turn them emotions off. When they
Mhm.
turn them off, yeah, that's what he's there. His emotions is off. Like they're just
Mm.
gone. And the only thing that can bring it back is, and this is my thing. The only thing that can bring it back is he has to get with a woman that he does not see as a threat, that he can open up to. And he doesn't even have to get with it. He just got to have a female friend that he can start to unpack that with. Like, he's got to have a friend. He's got to have a home girl that's a friend that he can just let that out. Where he can just go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, I do agree, and it could be that. And if not this guy, certainly we see a lot of that. And people don't even realize that's what they're doing. I more see him like, okay, so in the series finale of the Iyanla Fix My Life, right? Where you had Mr. Dude who went viral for initially for going, you know, I take care of my family. My wife, she hasn't paid a bill in 20 odd years and blah, 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 and whatever. And, you know, he had all this massive kudos online, you know, virally. It's like, oh, he's a great man. Yeah, see, he knows what manhood's all about. But then, you know, on the show, everything is an epic chaos in this family, from the kids to the wife to the husband. I mean, everything's in chaos. He didn't lie about what he did, right? His wife has always worked, and she has never paid a bill, never had to pay for food or worry about where the next this, that, or the next thing came from. And yet, you know, him and his son are in an epic battle. All of his daughters were sexually abused and were afraid to let their parents know because they knew their dad had a rage, like, you know, serious rage issue. The father's rage issue just kept building and building to the point where he actually not only was emotionally abusive to his wife, but throttled her physically, had a physical fight with his son. I mean, the wife emotionally checked out years ago and just didn't even bother with the kids I mean, she, you know, did the day-to-day, made sure that, you know, she loved the kids and fed them and stuff, but like she was emotionally checked out. She wasn't supporting him being a good leader, and he thought he was doing everything he was supposed to do to be a good leader. And so when Iyanla unpacked that further, you come to find out now he was raised by a single mother who he loves dearly. And he said, you know, she did everything in her power, but, you know, there was no father there. There was no extra help there. And so ultimately it wasn't enough. And so he vowed to do lots of things, right? One thing he did vow to do is, you know, he was always going to be there for his son and for his kids because his father was never there for him. But he also vowed that everything he lacked, you know, growing up, that he was going to make sure his wife and his kids never lacked. And what was a big lacking was money, was, you know, any other type of provision, food, stuff like that. So he felt like he was doing everything he was supposed to do as a man, which of course was emotionally and psychologically breaking him. Which no one else in the family wanted him to just be an ATM, a funnel towards the house. You know, the wife had even at one point said, like, during the show, like, I've told you countless times, I would live in a shack with you as long as it's you and me against the world. But he wasn't trying to like fail necessarily. He was trying to do what he thought manhood was, but because he didn't have a father, right? This idea of, you know, how he was failing on the emotional side and how that's his responsibility never occurred to him. He thought that was a woman thing, right? That's what women do. And that's the women part of things. And if you have feelings, in essence, you're supposed to shut those down because men don't have feelings. Men don't engage emotionally. Men don't need emotionally, right? That's a woman's thing. Women need emotionally. Women engage emotionally, right? That's why there's a mother and a father in a household. And I feel more like this guy might be from that camp where he is not, it's not that he was necessarily, you know, on the simp level. I feel like he's actually probably had a lot of relationships that in theory should have ended successfully, but the women walk away. And he's confused because he thinks that it's about them saying that they need to feel needed. They need to have him be like, I can't live without you, sobbing hysterically and whatever, and he doesn't get it. And it's like, no, buddy, that's not what they mean. And that's not even what functional need is in a relationship. But I think that he doesn't know because maybe he didn't have a father to condition that into him. So he actually understands that.
You know what, Ruby? I'm glad you said that because I was thinking that next, but I didn't want to go to the
Extreme first.
well, I didn't want to go to the single mama thing. I didn't want to use that as an example because you know what I'm saying.
I know.
I know, right? Because that's that's the easiest thing to point. Because if you say it right, it's like you're like, I know what you mean. Char knows what you mean. The audience, like the people in the chat know what you mean. But to those in the clouds, they take it like she said it. She agrees with us. Yes. What about these black mamas? Like it does, and I try to stay away from it, but that is the truth. That's all he knows. But listen, as a man, I'm gonna tell you the worst thing ever. Okay, the biggest fights, the biggest argument me and my wife ever got into is when I got out of the military. I came back to Japan, and for a year and a half, she made me not go to work.
Oh boy.
Right? She made me not go to work because she said and she you know what I mean, because this is what happened, right? It was I got back to Japan, and on day 45 I jumped up, I ran into the room, and I put on my military uniform at 7 a.m, and she was like, "What are you doing? You ain't got no job." And she walked out of the room, and it hit me like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm sorry, Sean, but what am I going to do? Like all my life, I've been working. And it's like, I don't have, I was working in high school up until whatever. I went straight into the military. I was there for 8 years. I was somebody. This is what I did. I had dudes and whatever. I got my resume, yada, yada, yada. And and it was like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I was at this point in my life was like, I need a job. I need to go to work. Like right now. Like, because in my head, what I was taught my whole life, a man don't work, he don't eat. If you don't work as a man and you ain't got like this would hurt me. Like literally as a dude. Like I would walk with my son to the park, right? Because what she wanted to do is because I was always gone. So she wanted to make sure that I had my relationship with my youngest son as much as possible because I wasn't never around because I was always gone because I was providing and I was always gone, right? And I was there. So she wanted that, right? And it didn't make no sense me getting a job and paying all this money for daycare and whatever, right? Plus I already had savings money. I was good, but we were going to be straight. But the other thing is she wanted me to take a break off of that high-strung, high-paced job with the stress and everything like that, just to be more functional, right? And one day I was walking with my son, and I was walking with him, and we was at the park, and I saw this blind dude, this blind guy, he was about my age, going to work. Like he had his briefcase, he had his shades with his little stick, and he was going, and he got on the bus and went to work. And when my wife came home, I was just sitting there and I was like, I need a job. And she was like, what? I need a job, right? I gotta go to work. She said, no, we agreed upon this. Fuck this. Right? I need a job. There's a blind dude working. There's retarded people working. There's nothing physically wrong with me. I need a job. Because if a man don't work, he don't eat. And I kept saying that over and over and over again, right? And she basically told me, she said, I don't need you to work. She said, I didn't work for like 5 years. You took care of the whole household by yourself. And that's what I'm supposed to do. Right? That's what it was, a clap of man. And that's what men are supposed to do. She said, well, she said, I wanted to work. I was like, well, you ain't have to work. Why? Because you was a woman and women supposed to take care of the household and I'm supposed to go to work. I'm supposed to go out in the world and to sweat them up. I'm over here quote Bible scriptures, all kinds of stuff. I'm just going the hell off because this is all I know as a dude, right? And you know what she said to me? She said, I trusted you. Can you trust me for a year and a half? You need to take a break. She said, I don't care if you lay up here all day and do nothing. I'm gonna give you that. Like, I don't care if you do nothing. And the thing is for a year and a half, like I didn't do nothing. I got to do whatever I wanted, other than, I'm watching my son and stuff like that. But she allowed me to do everything I wanted. And I realized what she was doing. She was allowing me to get it out of my system, even though I didn't think I needed it. I needed a break. Right. And then when it was time for me to go 100 miles an hour and hit it hard, she allowed me to go 100 miles an hour and hit it hard. You know what I'm saying? And we hit it hard together. But but as a man, that's all you know, because you keep hearing from everyone. And I'm not saying the women, but you keep hearing from society, like, this is all you are. And if you don't amount to that, that's what it is. Now, because I was able to have deep conversations with her, my wife, while we were dating, she understood the psyche of who I was and what is up to me. I'm very prideful about providing and taking care of things with the family. Like, she's what I mean? When she would come to me and say, listen, I don't mean to ask for this, but I need some money for whatever. I said, for what? And she's like, I need some money for this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, what's been going on? Like, I would ask her these questions, and she was like, well, this, that, and the third. Oh, okay. Like, no problem. How much you need? She said this. I'll walk right out the house, right then and there, come right back. She said, no, only ask for this. Why are you giving me this extra? I said, well, if I said, because I told her, I said, if you're asking for this from me, I appreciate that. But that means whatever female stash that you got, you exhausted that first before you came to ask me. Like, you're because women got their own stash, and she started laughing. But we had that moment because she realized that I understand what's going on, but she understood who I am. Like, she understands what it is and what makes me tick, but she understands what it is. But that made her understand who her dad was, because her dad wasn't around because he was always working. So when she saw that dynamic between, okay, he's just like my dad. Like, she used to hold it against him, but then she respected it because she saw it in her face. Like, she understood it. Like, oh, this is a dude. He wants to work. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, other than listening to your wife, listening to a woman let her vent and hearing those and whatever, other than that, and providing, in society, what more is a man going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know what I mean? And that in itself is, it's something that, we as men, we don't like to talk about our needs and wants and desires and stuff like that, because it makes us feel like we're not doing our jobs as men. Like, you know what I mean? Because we're not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You don't sit up there and cry like, man, I gotta protect the village from
Does it make you feel weak, Dre?
Yeah. Look, it make you feel it make you feel weak. That's why men leave. If they can't provide for their children, like men, if they can't provide for their family, they'll leave. They'll leave because they feel less than, like they're not doing. Like a man that's really a man, he will clean toilets if it can take care of his family. He will pick up trash. He'll go get cans and deliver them. He'll work 3 and 4 jobs. You know what I'm saying? That's what a man will do, and he'll find his soul and pack every problem that he ever had deep into any crevice. But what also happens is men die earlier because of that stress of holding all of that stuff in. You know what I mean? They die earlier because of that stress. They don't let it out because if I'm being vulnerable, then who's going to protect them? Like who's going to protect them? Because we know the world ain't fair. The world is horrible. The world because men run it. We know us, and we know how much we don't care. You know what I mean? When we get selfish, that you know what I mean. So that's one of those things. Yeah, that's just one of those.
I was going to say, here's the thing though, and you brought up like exactly kind of like the point we're all making as far as him not letting a woman in to actually play the role of a wife. Because at the end of the day, as much as you might not have fully seen it, even if you had expressed it sometimes and whatnot, by you opening yourself up and allowing you to be vulnerable to your wife, she knew what it is that you actually really needed. You needed that time to establish a rapport with your son. You needed that time to realize that if you don't work, you can't be working on a scarcity mindset, and so let's take a pause right now, chill out, do what you need to do here. The world's going to keep spinning. You're going to know that you can rely on and trust me too. And then once you've recovered fully and you're ready to go, you'll be able to go at 100 and not burn out and not, start acting all kinds of crazy because in essence you are burnt out, but it's just like this monkey on your back, this like anchor pulling you down and drowning you in essence, right? This weight of responsibility. And so that in and of itself is part of, a woman's role, but she can't play that role if you don't let her. Exactly. You had to let her and you had to trust her and you had to be vulnerable to her. And this is something that this man is not allowing any woman to do for him. So, he might burn himself out. He might start making terrible decisions for himself because he's burnt out under the weight and burden of way too much responsibility without a clear head to kind of work it through and see what it is that he's actually saying, like a sounding board to sound it back at him, because everything is on him. Every decision, every movement, every payment, everything, plus all of her thoughts, all of her feelings, all of her needs, all of her wants, like it's just too much. And he's not allowing for there to be, and again, not 50-50. I'm not saying, well, 50% of the finances here, 50% of the finances there, 50% of the emotionality here and here. No, but I'm saying that each person has 100% of their role to play, and he wants to play 175% of his role, right? And then she can do 25% of her role, I guess, or whatever, if she can, whatever. And that's how he wants to distribute life, and he thinks that that's going to work long term as far as him heading a household, as far as him having a wife and a family and being an effective husband and father. And I think that's where he's going wrong.
Because it sounds as if he's, he doesn't want to even extend himself when it comes to his emotions. He doesn't want to put it out there. I mean, and because we don't know his full story, it was spoken that maybe because he had his heart broken and he didn't want to go through that again. That's where I'm going to come back to the maturity. At some point, you have to realize that there are no guarantees in life outside of change and death. You're going to change constantly. And one day you and everybody that you know on earth is going to die. Nobody's going to get past that. So what I'm saying is that you have to, if this woman is enough for you to lay up with, this woman is enough for you to share a domicile with, this woman is enough for you to want to provide for her, this woman is enough for you to want to have children with, at some point you're going to have to make that decision and take that leap to trust and be vulnerable to another person. That's just the way it is. If you want to get the most out of this relationship, if you want to get the most enrichment out of this relationship, if you want to grow with this person, you have to be willing, not saying that it's going to happen. You have to be willing to risk getting hurt by this person. And in order to do that, you have to open yourself up. You cannot keep yourself on the block, away from everything, in control. You can't control everything because the relationship will suffer. And it sounds as if the relationships he's been in have suffered because he will not open himself. And I'm not saying open yourself to every, chick that, say, hey, what you thinking? But dude, like I said, if you're willing to provide for this woman, you're willing to share a home with this woman, lay down beside this woman and sleep, knowing that she's not going to put a knife in your neck while you're sleeping or run your pockets and be gone. You have to be able to share with her. You have to be able to, open up and be vulnerable. And that's just a fact of life. And that comes with maturity.
And also, I always say, I'm around YouTube a lot. And I realize that a lot of times when I hear people speak, I know they don't have the experience. And Vonda, I see that you're hearing, all of you guys are hearing that there's a lack of experience. And I'm happy that the young man reached out to even, discuss it, since he knows what I do on the channel. Yeah. And we can, bounce around some ideas. But, at least people have something to use and be able to take back and apply, because it takes experience. It's not something that you read a book and are like, okay, I got it now. No, you're going to take experience. It might not happen with the next woman or the next woman or the next one. It just, it takes some experience. So there's nothing wrong if you don't have it all by the age of 30. Keep living.
And Shar, it's a because where you see this is going, everybody is different because there's no one size fit all, because you have to look at the person's personality and how they deal with things. Like like I said, everybody goes through the dark place, and I usually kind of, when I'm talking to guys or when I'm talking to other men and we're having a scenario or a conversation, I usually have to bring it back to the bare basics. So Vonda might clutch her pearls on this one. So here we go, right? So basically, what I usually tell them is, I say, look, you get a girl, you get a woman, right? Y'all together, right? Y'all get together, right? And you got to put some work in to get to the physical part of the relationship or the sex part, right? How long are you going to go with dealing with this woman and she's only doing one position, laying on her back while y'all having sex? Sooner or later, you're going to go find somebody else, right? When it comes to the emotional part of dealing with women, it's okay that you're stoic, like Ruby said, in the beginning, but you got to open up. You got to open up. How we are physically and adventurous physically, women are emotionally adventurous, but they want to work for it. They don't want you, oh, how you doing? The first date, you up there just dumping all of your baggage on them, like just, you know what I'm saying? They don't want that. If they wanted to be with another woman, they can call up their girlfriend and they can have a long conversation. She's there, but she wants something, because it's like the woman that's saving herself, or she's not running around jumping on every dude or whatever. That's a challenge. But once you get it and you're there and you're building, then you can see, okay, she's doing things that she's saving for herself. So saving for me. So we go levels. There's levels to this thing. There's certain things, right? It's that understanding. And the thing that I see with this guy is that he's in this rush, because when a person starts cluing in on age, that means they have these things in their head and they're in a rush. Like they got this, I'm 30 years of age and I'm supposed to have a house, a wife, 2.5 kids, a white dog, some picket fences, 2 cars. You know what I'm saying? Like no, you're not. At 30, you don't even know like what you're capable of. And another thing about emotion or being vulnerable with talking to a woman is when you're to that point is that if you're not showing any emotion, if you're not sharing anything, then you're not ambitious, right? You're not showing your ambitions, your thoughts. Where are we going, right? Like, if she's going to let you lead, you at least gotta tell the co-captain of the ship, where we're going, right? You know what I mean? The captain doesn't always plot the course. You know what I mean? The co-captain or the vice captain or the navigator, you know what I'm saying, basically says, well, we can't go this way. We can get here, but that's going to be a little tight. Now we can try to do it this way, but I still got your back, but maybe this way might be a little less arduous. If you have to get, a woman has to feel comfortable with your direction, and by you opening up, then she can understand where to go and she can rest easy. She ain't trying to be up at the middle of the night worrying about whatever. Now, when a woman says, we can, with Ayana, they say that, right? About the whole, well, we can live in the shack and I still ride with you. Yeah, everybody says that. Everybody said that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody say that. And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an understandable thing. But on a man's perspective, I'm a failure as a man if I can't provide because I'm competing against other groups of men.
Mm-hmm. But then from that, from that perspective, though, women are failures for not providing emotionally and nurturing, right? So, and see, that's part of the issue, though, too. So it sounds to me like maybe this guy has old school ideals, and if he does, then part of that, as a leader, as a man, you first, you define yourself, you define your path, right? And then you start basically walking, i.e., leading down it. And then women along the way that you meet, right? And again, you have to be able to spell this out because she has to decide, is this a train I want to jump on or not? But in order for her to make that decision, part of what you're defining is her role in that universe, the ways in which you need her, the things you need her to fulfill, the requirements you need her to have. So if you give her no role, then in essence, have you actually defined a plan? Do you actually have a path as a leader? Or are you, again, just kind of like playing at leader, but like just more like you're just being a functional adult, right? Going back to originally what y'all said, like, okay, yeah, sure, great. You're making money, you got a house, you got a car. This is great. That's I'm happy you're not homeless and whatnot. Maybe you got an education and whatever, but are you a husband yet? Because husbands should be husbands before they're married. And part of being a husband is being ready to lead. And part of being ready to lead is knowing who you are, what your role is going to be, and what role her role is going to be, i.e., what are you relinquishing and giving to your wife? And what other things in addition do you need her to bring so that way your household's balanced, your life is balanced, and you can be that much more functional and successful together as a pair than you would be as an individual. If she comes and she adds nothing and you're no more or less successful than when she's gone, then you're still single while you're it's basically like friends with benefits, right? You're just as single as you were before. Like, what is she there for then?
Average woman is not, she's not going to stand for that. If the depth of this statement doesn't mean enough, I would live in a shack with you. And that's just not some frivolous crap that women just say. They mean that shit when they say, hey, I would live in a shack with you, because she feels something to the depths of her soul for that man.
Yeah.
Right.
And she would struggle with that man to get out of that freaking shack. Get into a home, and that would make it even more worthwhile. But if he feels that all he has to do is just come and provide, he doesn't have to lend any emotional depth to the relationship, there's going to be something lacking. There's going to be something lacking severely. Because a relationship is just not about the man providing, although that is very important. Very important, because at the end of the day, we got to eat and the landlord has to be paid. I don't give a damn who died, you know, you know, and that's, think about it. Mr. Landlord is going to be like, oh, your mother died? Okay, well, I'll let it slide for 2 weeks. But is he going to ever tell you, you know what, Vonda, you've had so much tragedy this past year, you ain't got to ever pay rent again. Not going to happen. Not going to freaking happen. So we know things have to be done. But when you're talking about the relationship between those two people, it goes a lot deeper. It goes a lot deeper than just, you know, provisions.
Exactly. And that's and you're absolutely right, Vonda. It's you know, and that's what I said is it's like for a woman to say that it's like, oh, thank you, honey. You got my back, but we, you know, it's my job and duty for us not even to get to that point. You know what I mean? It's just that innate thing as a dude, you know what I mean? You know, I'm gonna say this is when my wife, you know what I mean, when me and my wife was talking about marriage and stuff like that before, she brought it up. And then when we got married, but the day that we got married, well, the day that I asked her to marry me, because we was we made an agreement because I wasn't really around all the time because I was always out on the ship, gone. And I saw what happened where everyone would be stuck in a marriage. They would be stuck in a state of, they'd be stuck in that honeymoon phase where, you know, you're here, good, but then you're gone for 3 months. Right when you're about to get into that first argument, that major argument in a relationship is usually after the 45 to 90 day period, right? Where y'all have a falling out, right? Because it's bound to happen, right? And right when you're about to hit the cusp of that, you're gone. And then you come back and you're back in the, oh, I miss you honeymoon phase again, right? And it's a rinse and repeat cycle. But if you're doing this for years, it's harder to get past that phase because you're thinking that you should have been past that phase, but you weren't really never around, right? So, you know, we decided, you know, as adults, you know, and I told her, I said, listen, like, that whole being a husband thing, like, I don't think that, you know, we're going to be successful because of the job that I have. If I stay in this job in the position that I'm in, and I'm never around, we're not going to have a successful marriage. I'm just telling you what it is. Not because of you, because of me. I'm a jerk, right? You know what I'm saying? This is what it is, right? You know what I mean? But I said, but if I stay in, or if I get what we call, you know, just I don't have to leave a lot, or I get out, which I was really planning on doing, then, you know, I promise you, we get married, whatever, right? And, you know, I kept my promise because, you know, I keep the word and whatever, right? I kept my word. But when I was talking to her and you know, when we was driving and we was driving and I was talking to her and I pulled over and I said, listen, I'm going to fuck up a lot, a lot, right? A lot, right? And I don't know how to do this because I've seen examples of it with my aunts and my uncles, but they're not my parents. Like, your parents are married, right? So, you know what I mean? I don't know how to do this. And this was a big responsibility. Like this is like, you know, like I told her, I said, yo, I'm scared shitless, like, to do this, like, because I got to be responsible for everybody, like everybody, you know what I'm saying? And this is day in and day out. And I'm only going to do this once. Cause if I'm doing it once. Like, if this don't work out, I ain't never getting married ever again in life, period. End of story. I'm not going to do it. And I told her that. I said, you're going to be the first and last wife. Like, you know what I mean? That's it. No one's coming after you. It's over, right? And I said, but you go, like, if you can give me patience and we talk about it. Like, if we talk about it, tell me what's going on. My pet peeve is tell me what's happening first. And I told her, I said, this is my number one thing. I'm very sensible in life when it comes to things, even things I don't agree with and I don't understand. But and I said, these are my rules. These are my 3 golden rules. I said, rule 1, tell me what's going on Don't let me be the last to find out. I don't care if it's something that's like going to affect all of us in the household. And if you holding on to it, if you don't tell me what's going on, right? Because I can help you with it, and even if I can't help you with it, we can think about it or we go through it together. Because the second you hold on to information that will put this household in jeopardy, and you don't tell me, and I'm blindsided by it, I'm gone. Because you don't need me here at all. And then likewise with you. Like you know what I'm saying? Likewise, if I do the same thing and you want to roll, you got all reason to roll because I violated that tenet. I said the second thing is do not do anything publicly that will embarrass me. And I will not do the same thing to you. Do not publicly embarrass me because a man ain't got nothing but his pride and his reputation. Right. And I said that's that. And I said, and the third thing is that I will never command you to do anything because I can't. Like if you really think about it in a marriage, you can't make someone do anything. Like you can ask them to do things, but then you can't make them do anything. Like because at the end of the day, you're adults. So you can ask a person to do something. Hey, can you do this for me? And they can tell you yes or no, or they can do it or not do it or whatever, right? But I don't demand my wife to do anything, right? And she doesn't demand that I do anything. She asks. We ask each other. You know what I mean? That's just the thing, because when it becomes a demand and when it becomes a, this, that, and the other, because I realize like this ain't the old school. This ain't the 1950s and the 60s or the 70s or something like that. This is, we got married in 2008. Like it's a whole different dynamic. And I got to teach my younger sons how they have to navigate this new world, because it's not going backwards, it's going forwards, where women are making money and they have careers and things like that. So with that being said is, my whole dynamic with that is when we had that conversation, when we worked through it, we sat down, we have a conversation, we talk it out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, or whatever. My wife, she's not really, when she gets angry, she's different. She's not really like, she's passive aggressive. She gets silent. Right? She gets silent. You know what I'm saying? Like she doesn't say anything. I'm more of a, like, I'm gonna tell you. Like I'm gonna tell you and you gonna know. And you gonna know. But she doesn't, you know what I mean? She'll get silent.
Well, when you're in a marriage or you're in a long-term relationship, it gets to a point where there is an element to you functioning as a team. There are the individual components of the individual people, but like you were saying, you will not embarrass me. I will not stand for that. That will be grounds for me to walk away and leave this relationship if you embarrass me. But at some point, the woman that you're with, she has to realize that for her to embarrass you is to embarrass herself. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We are a team. If I'm going to sit up here and objectify, negative things upon you, what does that say about me for being with you? Because even though I just did this, I still want to be with you, but for some reason I had a feeling or a need to make you feel smaller. It comes down to a point where, hey, we are a team. We do function as individuals, but there is a collective effort for us to be, a team. It does not do me any good to, run my man down and tell anybody outside of my household that he ain't no good. He's this, that, and the third. That doesn't do me any good. I don't get any points for that. Just like if he's going to run down to the neighborhood, juke joint and tell everybody, oh, my woman ain't this, she's that, and she's everything other than that. And he ain't talking about going nowhere. He ain't talking about divorcing. He's staying right there. You're making the union of us a joke. And when you're in a relationship, I have respect for myself, and I have respect for the man that I'm with, and I have respect for the unit that we're in, and my thing is that, what goes on between me and my man, that's between me and my man. You know, if we're having some issues, I'm not going to try to gain points with him by telling our, secrets, our business to outside folk.
Yeah, publicly.
Mm-hmm.
That
I'd
doesn't
like
work.
to, because it's an hour left and we have a new guest. Welcome to the panel, Chandra. How are you?
Hey,
Good
Chandra.
evening.
Uh-oh,
Good
here
evening,
we
good evening,
go.
my members of the panel. So I'd like to take a moment to shout out, one of our fallen, the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. Remember, guy was able to put up 89 points in one game of basketball.
Oh
89
yeah.
points, carried the entire team on his back.
Ooh,
But
wow.
when you put up 89 points, how does that make everybody else feel?
Mm,
When you win the game single-handedly, the other people are going, well, why am I even playing with this dude? He won't pass me the ball. He's just going to take the shot himself. Why am I playing with this dude?
yeah.
And the same thing can apply to a relationship. Why am I playing with this dude when this dude is going to take every single shot by himself? Why am I here?
Yeah.
And, I actually, I clued in on something that Char said earlier, where she mentioned, the morning after, have her iron your clothes for you, something, because, he describes it in the letter as, his partner feeling needed, right? But if
Mhm.
someone feels like they're not useful, if someone feels like you're going to do everything by yourself without even questioning their opinion on it, then they don't feel like you want them around. They're like, you're better off without me. I'm just taking up space. I'm just slowing you down. You're going to do what you want anyway.
Yeah, I can see the woman actually performing extra just to try to get his attention to find something, her place.
And
And if she doesn't, then I could see her like, okay, forget this, I'm gone.
yeah, because unless I've actually heard this, I was speaking to somebody in the BDSM community, right? And he was a dominant, right? And one of the things he mentioned to me is the worst thing a dominant can do as a dominant is not have a role for a submissive.
Okay,
Whoa. That's
that makes
deep,
sense.
Chandra.
You if you don't let them serve you,
Yes.
if you
Mhm.
refuse service all the time, they start going, well, why doesn't
They
he
will
like me?
go they
Why
will go
doesn't
elsewhere. They will go
yeah?
elsewhere.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Why doesn't this person? Why won't this person accept my service or accept my opinion or accept my presence? Am I not good enough? And that's the worst thing for anybody to feel in a relationship. Am I not good enough?
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I mean, from the submissive role too, think about which people don't understand, and I'm talking about in BDSM. Submission is freedom, because in essence, you cannot think at all. You don't think at all because someone else is telling you what your role is and what you're doing. So in essence, even you don't have to think about where your hand should go, where your mouth should go, where anything should go, what position you're being. Someone tells you, and so you can, in essence, enjoy. And so when someone takes that away from you, in essence, you're taking them out of that role. They can no longer submit to you because they have to, in essence, play too much of an active role. And, I would imagine, since he was talking about them fishing for validation, right? They're just looking, they're so desperate for validation from me. Like, I don't need you. And it's like, well, yeah, that's why they're fishing, though, because they're not sure where they fit. And so you're going to keep doing those little things, as Shar said, right? Maybe he needs me to cook for him. So if I cook for him, then he'll be like, yes, I love the fact that you're doing that for me. Do more of that. Or maybe he'll do his laundry. And then, like, what place do you need me to fill? And if every time he's saying, yeah, actually, I prefer when I do my own laundry. Actually, I like the way I iron better. Actually, I like my cooking better. Actually, like, that's basically telling you, like, listen, you're just here for the booty call. So just sit there and stare at Netflix till I get horny, and that's your role. And I mean, honestly, even these guys who talk about more like really dominant types of relationships where all they want the woman to do is, spread her legs. And what do they say after that? Get me a sandwich, right? I expect her to cook. I expect her to clean. And I expect her to sleep with me. They even give her a role, right? Like she knows if she cleans the house and it's sparkling and she cooks like, like a 5-star chef and she gives him the best sex of his life, he's very happy. So he's given her a role. This guy has removed all of that. He said, don't do anything, but we're in a relationship though. And I'll do everything for you, but we're in a relationship though. And when you try to give back, I'm going to say, listen, I don't need you. And I don't see that as a rejection at all. I don't see what the problem is. Like, where's the balance?
The last thing, the last thing anybody in a relationship wants to hear from the other person that they're opening their self for is that, hey, I don't need you. It's like, wait a minute. And you know what? And everybody always puts so much emphasis on the material or just the basics. As grown adults, we should all, you know what I'm bringing to the table? My freaking basics. At the very least, you need to come to the table being able to take care of your basic needs. And you don't deserve an applause, a standing ovation, any pats on the back for that, because that is life. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, what we create when we are together, that can just take us volumes past just the basics. And for me in my life, I'm trying to strive for just more than just the basics. It's nice to have a man that can provide, and he's not a bum and he's not a homosexual. He pays his way, and he overcompensates for the household. But at the end of the day, a woman wants to know that she means more than just, okay, he needs to get his little Johnson wet and then he's going to get a good night's sleep. She needs to know that she means more than that, because you can stick it in any hole. It doesn't have to be hers, to get that satisfaction. So it comes to a point to what do you share with that person? Like I say, I mean, you can't get any more intimate than sharing your body, a household, and finances. And you're not going to just give me just a tiny piece of that heart, or some vulnerability. It's just not going to last. The longevity of it is not going to last.
Me and my wife had a nice conversation, Vonda, and I told her my New Year's resolution, and I said hers too, is make the kitchen great again, because these struggle ramen meals is not happening this year. We're gonna make the kitchen great again. We is not doing this, you know what I mean? Like, you ain't traveling. There will be no more struggle ramen in 2021.
Hallelujah. Finally.
But I'm like, because she was traveling and working and stuff, but she doesn't, I'm like, you can't travel and work now because of whatever's going with this Rona and stuff. But it's like when you get to a certain age, that even gets, you get to a maturing factor where you're not thinking about that, and you're not, it's a thing with people, especially men, is that we have to evolve as men, because that old school way of suffering in silence, because the environment called for it. That's how the structure of things were. And as much as, women are making progress and they are able to, pretty much kind of provide for themselves because the society in a whole is protecting them, right? It's not these groups of people, right, protecting the women, and the men got to go out and they, like, ain't no dudes running around with, dudes are not running around with bows and arrows and, shooting deer and dragging them back and gutting them and field dressing them, and the woman are cooking them for the chillins. That's not happening. It's, what I'm saying? It's, what I'm saying? Like, if you think about it, when the whole Corona thing hit, that was the first time you saw in a long time men out in the grocery store. And you could tell when the man had a family because he was looking at his phone. He got two things in his hand. He don't know really what it is. He calling his wife to double check and taking a picture because he better not come back with the wrong thing, right? He better not come
Yeah.
back with the
Facts.
wrong
I
thing.
do that
Right?
all the time.
You know what I'm saying? Because you know what? She would rather you not get it than buy the wrong thing. If you
Thank
buy the
you.
wrong thing, that's on you, right? Because it's usually, it's usually women shopping for the household or whatever. But when the corona hit, men finally was able to do some things. You started hearing, like I started watching things and blogs of women, an article saying, yeah, my husband is out there with the rest of the men in the neighborhood. They just out there cutting grass. They got the sons out there, everything in the house started getting fixed all of a sudden because you couldn't go nowhere. You ain't had nothing to do, right? You ain't had nothing to do. And a lot of people's relationships got tested because they were forced to actually have to deal with each other. But men had to go back in that traditional role with this whole corona thing happening. And it's not going to let up from what the job reports are saying. It's this, like, because of the corona thing happened, everything has stepped back, and now men and women are reevaluating their roles of what it is. Like, they're reevaluating their roles and they're realizing, okay, there's an evolution that's happening. You know what I'm saying? Because in this economy, one person can't provide financially for a family. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not even possible anymore. It's just not possible. Like, she got to go to work. Like, she got to go to work.
I'm going to put on my Chelsea boots, and I believe the statistic was 72% of married women are in the workplace.
Yeah. She
And
got to.
the thing about it is, when we're dealing with people in relationships, the number one gauge of happiness in a relationship would be whether or not a person feels appreciated. Because if a person doesn't feel appreciated in a relationship, their happiness in the relationship is non-existent. Now, I've been doing some thinking about this, and this guy, he never once said a single thing in the letter about how he shows his appreciation for his partners.
I do not recall that. I just know the roles that he mentioned that he takes.
Yeah, and he did say something that it's not that I don't want her. And the question that immediately came to mind to me is that, okay, what do you do to make her feel that you want her? Other than when you get a rigidness between your legs, what other than that, how does she know that you even want her there?
Vonda, I'm going to go off here. I'm going to throw this out there, right? When I was a professional side dude, way back in the day, I'm retired now. And I was doing things for science. When I was
research purposes.
For research. No, for real, for research purposes.
Okay, I got you.
For research purposes. And the side dude's motto is, if y'all break up, we break up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but the thing is and I'm just saying this out of here, is that you listening or doing the things that other dudes won't do, that's good. But by you not sharing too much about yourself, that means it's easy for you to escape. It's an escape hatch, right? It's like a punching bag, right? The punching bag doesn't punch back, but if you're training for a fight, you gotta fight somebody, you gotta spar, you gotta actually train with someone that's going to punch back, because that's not realistic. And you can't.
So you're saying that there's a lack of investment in relationships when someone doesn't give the emotional baggage to the other person?
Yeah, you don't get that exchange. Yeah, and when you remove yourself from that, right, then that's where the wall comes up into play but then it's an escape hatch, right? Because you don't have to tell a person that they're not needed. You can just show them that they're not needed by not sharing anything with them. Because if you got everything handled, right? If you got the has anybody ever watched Everybody Hates Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Uh-huh.
and remember that I remember the episode, right, where Chris's dad and his mom, right, they got into an argument, and she was like, "Well, I ain't cooking or doing no housework for 2 weeks," right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he was like, okay. He said, "Baby, come on now, stop playing, baby, stop playing," right? And she was like, "I ain't doing it," right? And
Yep.
when she said that, she thought like, "I'm gonna show you," right? Because he's working 3 jobs, and she always says this one word: "My man worked 3 jobs. I ain't gotta work it," and she'll quit. Right? She always get a job, and she'll quit when somebody puts her off, right? And he finally kind of got tired of it, right? Because, baby, come on, baby, help me out here, baby. You know what I'm saying? I know I work 3 jobs, but baby, you can't be quitting these jobs. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to work 3 jobs. I would like to work 1 or 2, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was, but it was an understandable thing. And then she would basically say, "Well, I ain't cooking, I ain't doing nothing," right? But what happened in this whole thing is he would work 3 jobs and would clean the house and cook better than her, right? And she got shocked because she never knew that he could do all of this, right? And then the kid was like, "I want daddy cooking. I want daddy. Look, mom, dad, this, and
Yep.
this, right? And this, that, and the third." And he would say things off the cuff, right? And she was sitting there eating. He said, "Come on, try, baby." And she tried it, and she had the look on her face like, "This is better than my cooking," right? And it was this really ridiculous thing, right? And threw a spin on it because usually the man falls apart. He don't know what to do, you know what I mean, or whatever, right? But she said, "How did you know how to do all this, Julius?" Remember, look, I was the oldest out of 12 of us. You know what I'm saying? I had to take care of my brothers and sisters when my mom and daddy was at work. So this ain't nothing. This ain't when he said this ain't nothing. Oh, she stormed out the room, right? And then she just stopped talking to him, and then he had to go up there and apologize because he just basically said those deadly words, right? In a roundabout way. Like, I don't need you. You should be happy that you're in my presence because I make you better. You don't make me better. And no woman in a right mind is going to stick around for that. Versus, like, just like a man, like if he's working, he's doing the best he can, and she like, "Well, you don't buy me shit, you don't do X, Y, and Z." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same scenario, but on an emotional standpoint. You know what I'm saying? It hurts men's pride and their heart when they're trying their best and they can't. And a woman saying, "You ain't providing enough. That's why I went over with this guy over here." Or when a man doesn't share his emotions with a woman and she's sharing herself, because what else does she bring to the table? Because if he's cooking, cleaning, doing everything systematic, she comes in there, he has no weaknesses whatsoever, his days are planned, he's a straight-laced dude. If he's so perfect, then how can I be in there with him? Like, what can I do? Like,
You don't never buy me nothing.
yeah, and the only
see,
thing
I'm going to go back to what Char said earlier about him making room for her, right?
Yeah.
He has to find something for her to do. He has to find some place for her to fit into his life where she can feel that she fits into his life.
Right.
Yep. I do that with my wife all the time.
Only normal. I mean, it really is only normal, because if he provides everything and does, everything, what is her role? Where does she fit? And in that role that you have, quote unquote, provided her with, I mean, is there some fulfillment? Oh, I get to, lay down on my back, for you, 3 nights a week. I feel so
After 6
fulfilled.
months?
3? 3? How long we in a relationship, Vonda, where it goes down to 3? We supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, the first year and a half, we supposed to at least be 4 to 5. You know what I'm saying? How
Well,
many
damn,
kids do we
I
get
was
down to
trying to
3?
give you a break because you out there working and bringing home the bacon. I was like, okay, well, damn, he might want to
No,
see. Well,
no,
all she got to do is, if that's her only chore, if being on her back is her only chore, she can do that at least 5.5 days a week.
Well, I'm like, you do gotta take 7 days off in a month, Vonda. You know that
Lord have
nastiness that
mercy.
happens. You know, you gotta take 7 days off in a month. You automatically get those off. I'm just saying, you made me wait 6 to 12 months. I'm trying to get my recompense. I'm trying to get my reparations.
I'm going on mute.
Reparations.
I'm
I heard
gonna go on
reparations.
mute.
You know what is gonna come up, man. We do this all the time. I need my reparations.
You don't get reparations for that. That just caused, rapport. That's part of the rapport of the relationship. That 6 months is, good time. Good time.
You know what? Neek is right. The mouth doesn't bleed unless you go into the dentist. That's absolutely correct, Neek.
Ooh, Neek. What?
Thank you, Neek.
You go to bed. No, you didn't say it. Neek, I am over here shocked. I'm clutching my proverbial pearls up over here.
Neek said it. See, I didn't have to say it. Neek said it. No, but you're absolutely.
So my question is this. So for a guy like this who, okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He is ultimately the reason why he won't give an inch when it comes to, I don't need anyone but me. I have it all covered and all figured out, and I won't let you in or give you a crack in my veneer, right? Because that's not what men do, right? Men don't show weakness. Men don't have emotions. Men don't need women. Men don't need nurturing. That's for boys. That's for children. Because, there is a real concern these days. Men don't want to become a simp, right? Men don't want to become used. Men don't want to be seen as weak or effeminate or ineffectual. And so I guess the balance or the tipping point is, right, is women like this to begin with. Obviously, they are more attracted to a man who seems like that at the beginning. So how does a man know when to start giving those pieces of himself and how much and how, at what rate should he do that? So that way he's not tipping the scales and becoming a simp or an emotional mess or weak in her eyes,
Well, Ruby, like I said before, if he is, sharing a domicile with this woman and he's paying all the bills, I don't think the average person is not going to just share a home with just anybody. I would have to think enough of you to share a home with you. I would have to think enough of you to share my body with you. So if we're going that far, I think we should be able to graduate to some next levels with regards to that. Not just someone you're just dating. Oh, I've known you 2 weeks and now all of a sudden I want you to share your, the greatest pains of your life with me. That's
right.
unrealistic.
But how much, realistically as women, how much do we need at the beginning? At what point do we start thinking well, he says I'm his girlfriend, but he won't give me an inch? Is that a few months in? Or is that a couple years in?
Obviously, this dude ain't giving up Nathan. He's giving up nothing. So she would be happy to hear that the fool fell down and skinned his knee when he was 5 years old. She would be happy to hear that. But it sounds to me like he is, quote unquote, so strong that he's not going to share any of that, with her, because he's not going to open himself up. He's not going to be vulnerable, because vulnerability puts him at a disadvantage, and he will not be at a disadvantage. And to me, I think that he is truly putting himself or painting himself in a corner by doing that.
You know what? I think what it is I think another thing, and here's another thing, right? There's one thing where a man will willfully um open up, and then there's the thing about nature with attraction. If the right woman come along that's just on that vibe, he gonna start spilling the beans and snitching. Gonna have diarrhea of emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm saying, that happens
Does she
also.
look like Pam Grier?
Oh.
Roger. All right, now question of the evening.
But yeah, like he I'm like, let him run in the sunshine. Let the sunshine go get him. Like
Oh Lord, not sunshine.
sunshine go get him. Sunshine. Look, hey, listen. He find the right woman and she put that thing on him. He gonna be in the corner, crawled up in the fetal position.
What thing is that?
You gonna put that thing on him. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Put that monkey on him. Get him. The soul out of his body.
Men don't change for the monkey. They still be acting a fool, whether the monkey is good or
no. See, that's the well. See. The thing is, right? See, here it is, right? There's levels to it, right?
Levels of monkeyism. Come on now.
It is. It is, Vonda. Listen,
break it down. It says break it down.
It is, Vonda. It's levels to the monkey, right? If the woman knows the monkey is good and she know the dude ain't never had the monkey, she got him, right? If the woman doesn't know the monkey is good and she doesn't have that confidence in herself, right? And he know the monkey is good, then it comes into a mental battle of chess, right? You know what I'm saying? Because then because she doesn't have that confidence. If once a woman she know her monkey is good because she gets the effect. She gets the effect. You know what I mean? So there's levels to it, Bond. You know it's levels to this.
Oh Lord, levels to the monkey. You know what? Okay, Dre, if you say so, my G. If you say so,
This is too funny.
I mean, I have heard of monkey so good that it's got people calling people an ex-fiance for 30 years.
I have heard about it though. People do say it.
All right now.
It does exist.
Okay. Y'all experts on the monkey. I'm a listen.
Not ex-husband.
No, y'all be
here to learn. I don't claim to know it all. I just speak from my experiences, you know. Oh, BGS says all monkeys ain't the same. Well, pray tell, my man, pray tell.
These monkeys, man.
Yeah.
It's totally like distracted. What are we talking about?
Oh yeah. Okay. I've seen it.
Well, Char, let me ask you a question, right? Because you are kind of our give 0 Fs lady on the channel, everywhere. So let me ask you this question, right? Obviously, a man who's not going to give you even a drop, even an inkling of who he is or what he's about is not a good direction either, right? But what do you think is too far as a man, sharing? Like, as in, let's say y'all are at the 6-month mark. How much should he be sharing emotionally with you? And how much of a role do you think that you would need for you to be like, yeah, okay, I feel like this is going somewhere?
Me personally or just overall?
You personally, because you're less, I think you're a little bit more logical about things. You could be like, nah, this works or this doesn't, the end. Where we can be more finicky the younger we are.
Direction of the relationship, if it's moving forward, then that's fine, whatever he's giving up. If we're at a standstill after, usually you don't get past 90 days. You kind of know if you're going to be with the dude and you're going to hang out with him or not. You get a chance to see his representative is not quite there all the time. You'll be able to get past that. So if you make it past the 3 months, your 90 days, then you're like, okay. 4th month, you may have a spat, and you should have one by then. By the 4th month, you should have seen him angry by then. If you haven't, just keep watching, because you should. If you
Now
got a
what happens if
chance,
dude doesn't get angry?
They all get angry about that. They all get angry about
well, life will get you that way. So I'm not saying angry at you, just anger at
exactly.
something. There's something. Life makes you angry. Something happened at work, on the way to work, on the way from work, on the way to the store, yada, yada, yada. So something where so you're able to see how he deals with that. That's, if I get a chance to see that within the 6 months, and it's not anything physical, he's not, directing that towards me, I'm hanging in there. I'm like, okay, we good. If any surface of him coming towards me with anger, nope, sorry, it's not going to happen. So for me, he just shares enough where I can see his emotions. Within that 6 months, I'm good. I'm hanging in there. And it has always been.
All right. And then so as far as in life, let's say you guys get to this point now where obviously it would be natural for you to be a part of each other's lives in a meaningful way. Would you feel like you needed to be given some type of role in his life? As far as more than just, yeah, I see you for date night. Yeah, I love when you do my laundry, or when you cook me meals on the weekends, or something. Would you need that? Or would you be okay being like, that's all right, whatever. I don't need to have a role in his life unless we married.
I've already have that role already.
Okay.
I would have had something already within the 30 days, because that's the date, you're really new to each other. So you're checking out what you like. I'm going to try to cook for you, see what you like, what your favorite meal is. He may try to, do the same thing. Let's say he doesn't know how to cook. Okay, now help me in the kitchen. So you're going to have a role, some kind of way. Now, maybe after 30 days, maybe that, we spend a night over. That example I gave about, oh, baby, I'm running late. Could you iron my shirt for me while I'm in the shower? Okay. He's going to ask you if you can volunteer, but more than likely he's going to ask you.
Right.
So something, he's going to give you a chore. He's going to give you something like, hey, can you help me with this? You're going to get that normally.
Yep, I agree with that. In fact, I mean, I'm one of the ones who very early on will fish, quote unquote. I will offer to do things for you, right? And I will take your no's. If you say no, you got it, you got it. But I do feel like there's got to be that crack there at some point. There must be something that you would appreciate I could do just to save you on time. Like you said, you're in the shower, you're in a rush, I'm here doing nothing, I can iron the shirt for you. If you tell me you got it just because you can iron, you're almost telling me, I don't want to invest in you. I don't want to rely on you or count on you or find it convenient that you're here, right? Because I don't expect you to be around long.
I'm sorry. For me personally, I'm gonna need just a little bit more than, babe, can you iron my shirt? It has, there has to be some sort of a mental stimulation, to where, when we have, certain conversations, and the rapport that opens up between us when we have these conversations, you're like, damn, I've not had that with another woman, and I appreciate and love sharing that with you, Fonda. Not just some arbitrary, oh, can you, wash my drawers, or can you iron my shirt?
But
Anybody can do that. You can take
okay,
your stuff to the laundry and that can be done there. For me, I'm looking for the personal connection. And in every relationship I've been in, for me, it was the personal connection, and all of the other stuff was secondary, but the personal connection, when, it's like I said before, how does she make you feel? Do you get giddy when you think about her? Do you get excited knowing that she's coming over tonight? Do you you can't wait when something good happens to you? Are you like, damn, I can't wait to tell her because I want to see what her reaction is going to be? Not if, oh, well, can you iron my shirt?
I have to ask Vanda, right? So let's say this person has had many conversations with many different people, and while they like your point of view isn't the most, stunning, eye-opening thing that's occurred to them, and they don't make that statement. What then?
But you know what? And that's okay because, for this person, maybe it's not stunning and eye-opening, but for another, it would be. So that's why we have to, get to, know the people. And that's why I'm going to take it back to my 6 to 12 month, of getting to know somebody, because you don't know somebody after 30 days. You don't know someone after 60 days, 90 days. I mean, you're even lucky if you can, got a good sense of a person after 6 months to 12 months, 6 months to a year, if you really get to know them. I just think the more that you take time to get to know the person, the more enriching other things will be. I don't understand. I don't understand what the big rush is. Why everybody's in such a freaking rush to, okay, let's just get it in, let's do it, and let's find out what it do. What is that all about? Where are you going? If all of this is for you for the rest of your life, if unless you're just looking for, Mrs. or Mr. right now, what are you doing all this for? Isn't it for the longevity?
Well, and I totally agree with you, right? I just think that, some people, and I this is such a major area of concern in our community, is we do not have enough elder couples that have been together for a very long time to model and to teach us certain healthy things. And a lot of us, when we do see couples that have been together for a long time, perhaps we have our own parents or grandparents or something, there's a lot of dysfunctional interactions that happen. And so we're more like, we don't want to be anything like them. We want the marriage part. We don't want the dysfunction part. And so we don't quite know how to get from where we are now. Either we've never seen it, or we've seen a lot in a dysfunctional context we don't like, and we don't know how to get from there to, okay, now I'm in a functional, happy relationship. I think for men, just like women don't like the S word, i.e. submission, because a lot of men have been using that word to mean basically ultimate control, domineering. You're a child basically, and I give you orders and you say, yes, sir, massa, and that's all you've got to say about it, which is not what submission and leadership is, but people misunderstand it because, again, there's no modeling. And so just like women are afraid of that, I think men are afraid of anything other than the parts of, the leadership part that is about adulting, right? I work, I bring home bacon, I basically I just do everything I would do whether you were here or not. But because I'm allowing you to live here too, and I also feed you, well, I did my role. I did my job. What's the problem? Right? What, the sex wasn't good? No, there's other parts of a relationship. But like you said earlier, Vonda, it's a team. It's, there's a partnership here where we're working together towards a common goal. And while you could do it yourself, right? Just like a woman could do it herself, Because let's be honest, it's so disingenuous when people say things like, no, women need men. They couldn't do this on their own. Of course they can do it. But does it not make it easier when you have someone else to help you shoulder the burdens, right? I mean, there's a whole song about it. Lean on me, right? Someone shouldering the burdens makes it easier. Someone fighting with you gets you there twice as fast, and the statistics prove it. You are 40% more successful as an individual in a functional two-parent household. I mean the children, the man, and the woman. This is true across the board. So yes, you could do it yourself, but it's not an efficient way to work. Like thinking about Shadra's example about Kobe. Okay, yeah, Kobe was a rock star. Let's be serious, but 89 points. Well, could the team have maybe gotten an additional 30 points if he had maybe passed the ball rather than waiting for his opening? Because it always had to be about him shooting, right? Like, sure, you could do it yourself, you can be effective, but maybe you could be that much more effective if you use the whole team.
Right.
And that's the thing. See, one of the things you guys mentioned earlier is the amount of strain on one person when one person tries to take everything. But the other thing that doesn't really get said is the strain that one person taking everything on their back, becoming Atlas, putting the world on their back. It's actually stressful for someone else who's open and willing to help to watch you struggle and do it all by yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Because they're looking at you going, hey, I'm here, I can help. Just give me a chance. And you go, no, I got this. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I got this. I don't need you.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, because it's not just the stress of having to watch them suffer, but it's the stress of watching them suffer and beat themselves into the ground and kind of thinking like, wow, I must be so ineffective that they think this is a better option than just letting me help. Like, what's wrong with me?
No, I got this. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just gonna push you away.
Well, when I think about submission, I don't, to me, submission is not a horrible word. I don't understand why there are all of these arguments and all of this back and forth about submission like it's a bad thing. Because I'm going to tell you, a man who is able to provide and come to the table with provisions does not have to beg or ask or plead a woman to submit. It doesn't happen. When you are a man who is able to provide those basic needs to your woman and you're taking care of her in all of, that entails, you don't ask her for submission. That is something that she gives you free and willing, and there's no huge discussion about it.
And it's not submission unless it's willful, because at that point it's just abuse of power to get what you want. Submission is something that someone willingly gives, and in the case of a proper leader defines the roles that everyone is supposed to have, and someone says, whoa, that's actually a good role for me to have, and submits to that role.
Okay.
Yeah. And as a result, I'll say that, Vonda, I do disagree with you because I don't think it's about provision. I don't think it's about money at all.
You do, Ruby. Of course you do.
It had to happen once. We only had 14 minutes left.
With me.
It had to happen. Okay, it couldn't be that peaceful all show.
Okay, let's unpack this. All right, come on, I'm ready.
All right. Now here's the thing, right? And we hear it all the time, right? Where men bring money to the table, they bring those provisions to the table, but a woman's not submitting to them. Likewise, you hear about men who bring nothing to the table, nothing financially at all, and these women submit to these men all day. So if that's the case, then is it provision or is it something else? I think it's something else, and I think that the something else in essence is that even if the plan is faulty as hell, even if it's faulty as hell and it's going to lead you off a cliff, women will submit to a plan. So if you don't have a plan of action for them to submit to, if you don't have a goal to train or they get left behind, what are they following? Right? Because in essence, you're submitting to their leadership, which means you have to already be leading somewhere.
That's very true, Ruby. No woman is even able to submit to an indecisive man. The worst thing for a man to be is to be indecisive. You cannot make up your mind. You don't know where you're going. You're all over the place. A woman is going to lose her freaking mind, and she's going to go the opposite way of a man who cannot, pinpoint it and put it down as to what it is that he wants. The men that I've encountered in my life, they're very, very specific, very specific. They tend to know what they want. And in that, a woman finds security. Okay. Because, you ask him that question and he answered it just like that. And it was like, he didn't have to think about it. He already knew what it was. He wasn't hemming and hawing and like, oh baby, we'll figure it out. That's kind of shaky and that's kind of scary. So a woman is not going to want to abandon ship and jump on all aboard with that type of thinking. So man, he has to know. So this 30-year-old man who wrote Char the letter, he has no problem with, knowing what it is that he needs to do. The problem that he has is how to reach that next level of maturity. He has a problem with reaching that next level of maturity to where he is sharing with this woman. Doesn't mean he has to pull out every single vulnerability he's had since he was 4.5 years old, to this woman, but he's got to share something with her and pull her into his space to where she feels like, damn, I get the feeling that he's probably never told any other human being, much less another woman, this, vulnerable thing about him,
Right.
I feel special. So even if all she is just that extra ear, once a month, he lays down some stuff that he's able to talk to her about and she's able to give him, her opinion on it and he respects her opinion, then she's going to feel needed because it's like, damn, he listened to me and I was able to help my man.
Right.
Women, come on. Women want to be there for their men. Women want to help their men. Women want to make it easier for their man, especially if he's a hardworking man. If he's already a hardworking man, she don't want him struggling and having all these issues and taking on all this stuff by himself, where especially if she's able to, offer him, some relief. And not just by releasing his balls. That's not the only thing a woman wants to be there for her man for.
No. And to be clear, and honestly, Vonda, you just come to mind anytime that I think about the next thing I'm going to say. It's thing Vonda was like, yeah, I said yes, I wasn't rude to him at all. And then I just went and did whatever I wanted. I'll never get over that part of your story because I think it's hilarious. But also because it illustrates a point. And the point is that, and young people make this decision a lot more than, the older you get, women start to realize, no, you need to be either on the same plan I am, because I trust my plan. So I get my plan. So are you on a similar life path and whatever? And then B, most importantly, I have to trust that you can lead us there more efficiently than I can, right? And so this is why mate choice is important on the woman's side, because unless I, A, trust your plan is better than mine, or at least equal to mine, and B, trust that you can lead us there more efficiently than I could lead us there or lead myself there, I'm not going to submit to you. It wouldn't make any sense, because in essence, then I'm handing my life over to you so it could be stunted. And or maybe even be driven off a cliff. And no one's really willing to, willingly drive themselves off a cliff. Like, I know the train is heading off the cliff, but I'm going to jump on it anyway, and then hand him the reins and trust he's going to do the right thing. Even though he sees the cliff, He has no plan on how to bridge that gap, but he's still leading us there. So a lot of men need to realize that while they're adulting, you've become an adult. Maybe you're a very successful adult. Maybe you're a very successful man. Maybe you even do have one plan. Let's say you have like a career plan. But like, do you have a life plan? Do you have a 5-year, a 10-year, a 20-year goal? Do you have steps to reach those things? Because that is, if you're walking that path, then you're already leading. In essence, at that point, that's the place you need to be at. And a lot of men don't realize that. It's almost like they're okay just being men. And then they figure they find the right woman, who's already a wife, by the way, and then he can start being a leader, right? Then, okay, now I found the right one. Now I'll lead you somewhere. Now I'll figure out how to lead us. Like, no, you got to already be leading. And I think that this guy, you know, just from that unwillingness to reciprocate the vulnerability he's expecting from her, in essence, right? Because you want your woman to come submit to your leadership and blah, 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 and trust you, but you're not willing to reciprocate that. It tells you almost like he's at the man stage. I wouldn't call you at least like a boy or, you know, young-minded. I would just say you're at the man stage, but you have to figure out how to become a leader of a family and of a household and start that direction and then go out there. Because I think at that point, it will make you more willing to engage the way that's necessary for a woman, a wife, to say, you know what? Yes, you. Okay. I think this is a good plan. I would sign myself up for this. I think this will be good. I think we'll have, you know, conversations and bond and connect and show our kids a loving household, etc. Because like that's what women want, right? I mean,
Yeah.
women are the keepers of the nurturing, the emotional part of the household, right? Men are, I guess, the keepers of the finances. Even if it's shared these days, when a family fails financially, we blame the man. When a family fails emotionally, we blame the woman. So women are going to be a little bit more choosy. Yeah, we don't want you to be an emotional basket case. You're right on that one. I get it. We don't want you to need us. Like, you will explode into flames if we walk out your door. But we kind of need to feel wanted. We need to feel loved. We need to feel appreciated and respected. And we need to feel like you are leading us in a direction and we have a defined, needed, useful role within that place that you're trying to lead us. That's basically, I guess, everything.
You know what? And it also depends on the relationship between the man and the woman. You know, personally for me, I find that, you know, my best role, you know, or one of the best roles, I mean, with, you know, my man is that, you know, he's able to come and talk to me. You know, regardless of, you know, what's going on, he's able to come and run some things past me. You know, now he'll choose what it is that he wants to run past me, but he's able to come and talk to me and say, hey, you know, this is what's going on. You know, knowing that, you know, at the end of the day, I tend to be more emotional. I have my logical moments, but him as my man, he's able to talk me into those logical moments. You know, like when my emotions start to take place and run away with me and I'm like going on, he's like, hey, focus. This is what's going on. And, you know, because he's able to do that with me, he's able to work with me with my deficiencies. I'm able to come back with some logical, you know, answers for him and say, hey, well, you know, babe, maybe this is what you might need to do. Or, you know what? I don't see anything wrong with what you did. You know, you did what you felt was best. And sometimes that's enough. You know, so it's going to be different, you know, for each relationship, you know.
That's true. And I'll end it on this. Not sure where the guy is as far as how far he wants to go with the relationship. But I think with me answering the letter and all of us giving our opinions, he has something to chew on and something to work with. I want to
Mm-hmm.
thank you guys for joining the panel, for your conversation, those in the chat room, all those that contributed to the channel. Thank you so much. And tomorrow we'll be having the article reactions show at 6:30 p.m. Central. And I will play to keep the beat because I would like to see you guys join us on Wednesday night. Me and Ruby, we have our DJ hat on, so come
Mm-hmm.
check us out.
Yeah, you
It's a
guys
good time.
keep the beat.
And with that, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. And until then, peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Peace out.
Hi, this is Char Willie from the JustAskChar Advice Channel. Join me and Classic Ruby for a radio segment called Keep the Beat. We broadcast every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from Classic R&B Jams, CRBJ. We interact with the audience in the chat room where you'll have access to emojis, gifts, and the lively conversation. Press the icon that is a speaker, then press play radio. After a 15-second commercial, all the fun will begin. If you miss the live broadcast, you can listen to the replays from Mixcloud. Follow my channel on Mixcloud, JustAskChar Advice Channel, and you will receive notifications when the show has been uploaded. We hope to see you soon, and until